Welcome back, everyone, to the Sounds of the Hardwood Podcast. On this episode, we'll be discussing the opening days this week on Tuesday and Wednesday, and also going over the Christmas Day games on Friday. Also covering the latest news that have occurred this week so far. Happy holidays, Soto. Happy holidays, Ant. How y'all guys doing today?
Happy
Happy,
holidays, guys. I'm
happy
good. How you
holidays.
doing, Soto?
Good, good. What's up, my guy?
Doing good, doing good. Also, happy holidays to our listeners. Hope you stay safe as well.
Yep.
But going into Tuesday's games, there were, as expected, a lot of rust in the first two games. But to start it off, we're gonna start with the Golden State Warriors and Nets game. What are y'all guys' thoughts on that game?
For me, a KD fan, they are who we thought they're gonna be, and they just showed that. I mean, granted, it's the Warriors without a Clay, without a Draymond. Um, but when KD gets his game rhythm back, his game speed back, his game conditioning back, it's looking scary. Because think about it, we remember how Kawhi went on that tear for Toronto. It's because he was the most well rested player because he had that whole season off before whatever happened with this version of the fake injury, the injury, whatever, right? So then he comes from that, and then he just kills everybody because he has the freshest legs.
Yeah,
KD been out for a minute, so KD's legs are fresh as hell. So I
Yeah,
know when
18 months.
it's gonna get even worse.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna get even worse. Then you mix that with Kyrie coming off, a shoulder surgery, and he had a bunch of time too because he didn't play in the bubble. It's gonna look scary. Like they have an advantage to basically the top teams in the East and even the contenders in the West
Mhm.
because those teams just finished playing 3 months ago. Meanwhile, they were rehabbing
Yeah.
still, conditioning. Yeah, so I think that was just the tip of the iceberg. Like they got so much more left to do. I mean, Levert dropped 20 off the bench. He's gonna be 6 man of the year candidate. Um, KD didn't shoot as efficient as we know him to do, but that's gonna change. And Kyrie had 24 in the
He was
first half.
seven for 16 from the field.
Yeah, so that's
KD.
wasn't too bad, but like you said, you could definitely see the rust in some spots and where the conditioning came into play. But on the Brooklyn standpoint, they looked like I thought they would. They looked good. They looked dominant and like a top seed in the East as they're gonna be.
Mhm.
Yeah, the hype for this team is very real and scary. The way Kevin Durant came back after 18 months, finishing with 22 points, um, it was very impressive. And their bench, led by Levert's 29 and 5, like their bench, like four or
Yeah.
five players off their bench could be starters on any other team. That's how deep this team is.
Yeah,
So the Brooklyn Nets are
Yep.
legit.
Yep.
it was a good game for Brooklyn. It was really good game. You got 26 from Kyrie, you got 22 from KD. Joe Harris chipped in with 10. Obviously, y'all
Yep.
mentioned Castlevert with his 20 off the bench.
Yep.
The only thing, if I was to nitpick anything with that team, is it seems that some guys seem to be struggling with their lesser role right now. Um,
Definitely.
Dinwiddie seems to be struggling a little bit in the first game. There's still a lot more games to go. Like they play again on Friday, so I'll see how he looks against Boston on Friday. We'll talk about that later, but he looked a little not used to having the ball in his hand as much and dealing with limited touches. I think at some point in time, I would put Allen in the starting five. He's the better player than DeAndre Jordan is right now and the better fit for what they need defensively. But I think DeAndre Jordan rather start, wants to start. So I think Steve Nash is giving him that opportunity until he loses that ability to be the starter.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you expected KD and Kyrie to come on and play really well. I know KD really didn't feed into that, but I think he had a little bit extra motivation playing Golden State again in Golden State. So that fed into a little bit. I think it would have been a little more intense if Draymond had a played. But I know
For
they
sure. For
they
sure.
dapped each other up before and after the game to try to give the public view that they're not beefing no more, that they're buddies again. But I know
Yeah.
that game would have been different had he been playing because that would have been the matchup. Draymond would have wanted to guard him. Um,
Would have been a lot of barking for
it
sure.
would have been. It would have definitely been. So the Nets looked good. Their two best players played well. They got a good debut game, nice one under their belt. But their first test is going to come on Friday. For the Warriors, moving into them,
Hmm.
Curry looked like you expect. He had 20 points and 10 assists. He didn't shoot that well from the field. He was 7 for 21, but this is his first NBA game in about a year. Wiggins didn't look that good. He shot 4 for 16 from the field. He had 13 points, but he didn't shoot that
Yeah,
well.
Oubre also had a sloppy
Oubre,
game.
yeah, had a bad game too. Shot about the same from the field, 13 for
Yeah,
14.
yeah,
Only
3
had
for
6
14.
points.
Yeah, 0 for 6 from the
Wiseman,
free line.
I was
yeah,
impressed with Wiseman.
Wiseman looked good in his debut. He looked like a guy that's going to be capable to be at 20 and 10 for them, with what they need.
That's
But
all they need him to do, and that's what he's
that
gonna do easy.
bench is still a big question mark because they basically got no production out of off their bench in that game. Even in a blowout game, somebody
Yeah,
didn't come in off the bench and play well. So that's my biggest question for that team.
You're absolutely right. And the
for
reason being,
sure.
we know what Curry's going to do. Curry's going to ball out. And unfortunately, if the Golden State, the rest of the roster, you know, if they struggle, that team's not going anywhere. Like I had them projected probably 7th, 8th seed, just like squeezing in the playoffs. Curry needs a lot more help. And, you know, when you have Wiggins and Oubre going 7 for 30, that's not going to get you places, you know?
That's
So,
bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's a tough spot for them right now, especially with no Draymond, because he means so much to that team's offense, because he's like a point forward for that team.
right.
So I think back, we got to see what they look like with him back offensively, because that was their biggest problem. They couldn't put the ball in the basket against
yeah.
Brooklyn at
That
all.
not only that, and also he's that on the court coach. You know, that floor general type of person, where he's gonna show Wiseman, show Oubre, like okay, this is where Curry likes his screens. This is don't stop setting the screen if it's not open the first time. He's gonna loop around and then
Yeah,
he's gonna show them the system, which they had to learn on the fly with the quick
yeah,
preseason. Even though they I think they split with the Kings, right?
yeah,
They still look in the preseason. They looked good both games though. And again, we seen even with the Kings, Curry shot bad one game, then Curry shot good one game. But Curry's Curry. There's games where he's gonna shoot bad for a half, and then that third, fourth quarter pull up, and all of a
yeah,
sudden he's lights out. So he could still Curry. So in the West, that's still gonna get them games. But like you guys are saying, cannot go freaking what was it 3 for 14? He cannot go 3 for
yeah.
14.
Uh, uh,
And they need
Wiggins,
something
And
from
Wiggins needs to
Wiggins for
like,
Wiggins,
sure.
man.
Wiggins needs to
Wiggins for
live up to
sure.
that number one
At
overall
least do
pick.
something on the defensive end.
He's the X factor. That's the thing. Why when we did the preseason podcast with the rank power rankings, I didn't
Yeah,
have them because
no,
he's so inconsistent. He could have 16 points one night
he
and look
is.
great,
He
and then
is.
have like he did yesterday, 13 points, but shoot so poorly from the field. So I
Yeah,
mean, excuse me, Tuesday. So you never know what he's going to look like from game to game. If he gets more consistent, then I think they'll have a better chance to
yeah.
creep into that playoff spot.
He's in a system where they're gonna keep reminding him that they have confidence in him, and I think that's what he needs. I think he lost his confidence in Minnesota, dealing with the Jimmy Butler factor and just the ups and downs and of NBA in general. It kind of feels like he's a rookie that keeps hitting that rookie wall every season. It's like he has spurts. Oh, he's finally arrived, and then boom, it's a wall again. Then he has a little spurt, and then it's a wall again. That's why I feel like if Oubre can be the Oubre from Phoenix last year, then that gives him a chance to creep up. Um, I'm just not sold on Wiggins. Um, it's gonna be Wiseman obviously playing for Rookie of the Year, and then Curry doing Curry like stuff, and with Draymond pitching in a little bit, it just hurts they don't have Clay. That's that's what it really is. It really hurts they don't have Clay. I low key think if they do have Clay, then Wiggins probably loses that starting spot, and then it's
Yeah,
Oubre.
it's Oubre. Next year,
Yeah,
next year they're going to be scarier.
yeah, for sure.
And that's one of the things that I was probably impressed with Wiseman. He had little preparation coming into his NBA debut. I don't think he played during the
Didn't play preseason at
preseason.
all.
He
Yeah,
tested
So
positive for COVID, so he was out
right,
because of
so
that.
to come
yep,
out
him and
on
Draymond, right?
Yeah,
yeah, to come out and score 19 in what was it like 23, 24 minutes. Very
give you the
impressive.
exact minute count.
Yep, yep,
It's 24 minutes.
24.
yeah.
Well, you played well. He really did. Now, moving to the Battle of LA, if you want to call it that. But to people, the Clippers and the Lakers is the new rivalry in today's NBA. And for some, for Paul George, his superstar status was regained in that performance that he had with his
I'm
33
not sold
points
on it. I'm not
and
sold on
13 for 18 from the field.
Hey,
So
hey, ain't nobody ever have a problem with regular season P. Regular season P is a high draft pick in our 2K My League. We know that. It's playoff P. Playoff P we worried about. So we really don't care. Don't
he,
nobody care what he
he
do
told
in
he
72
told the
games.
TNT crew this is why he gets special treatment because he's a superstar. So if any of his
Yeah.
teammates got a problem with
Which
that,
is
they'd be all
crazy.
right.
Which is crazy because you would think they would just keep that under wraps, him and Kawhi, but yeah, I guess you gotta respect the way in an era where everybody's owning up to stuff. You
You
can't,
think
nothing is private anymore. Not for them, at least.
you
You
think
feed it into it.
Yeah.
Paul George is gonna have a redemption tour?
He got no more pin downs. He should be living his best life right now. He said that's what was holding him
Um,
back. Them
I'm
Game Rivers
I'm
pin
still
downs.
so apparently, but I'm gonna steal something from Kenny that and Shaq from the post game show. They realized that he's being more aggressive. Last year, it was more like, you know what, Kawhi recruited me here. Hey, Kawhi, it's your team. I'm gonna try to get mine where I fit in. Kind of like the Dwayne Wade LeBron situation when they first got together, and then Dallas stuck up on them in the finals and took it away. So it was kind of like that. It was like he was trying to wait to find his spots basically. But him coming from Indiana and then what he was doing at OKC too, when he was honestly maybe an MVP candidate, he was more aggressive. So
Yeah.
that's what I seen Tuesday night. He was more aggressive. He was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna get the ball. I'm gonna attack. I'm not gonna wait and watch the whole play go through. No, when I get the ball, it's kill season. And if he stays with that mindset, then yeah, we can see a redemption tour for him, if that's what we want to call it.
He got no
Come next
choice.
season. Well,
I feel like
all the talking he's doing, yeah, it's
he
either
has no choice. I feel like the
put
Clippers
up or shut up.
have no choice, especially because especially him, he signed his extension already. But
Yeah,
Kawhi has already told the Clippers that he's going to test the free agency. Now, most people don't think that means he's going to leave, but it's a threat looming. Like it's okay if we don't at least make it to the NBA Finals this
No,
year, I
I
might
think
consider leaving.
I think if he doesn't win the chip this season, he's out.
in my eyes, I think he's back to Toronto. What up, Lowry? What up, Fred? What up, OG?
back like he never
Really?
left.
Back like he never left. You know this six gonna work home open arm scheme. You know that. Busy gonna
He won
co-sign.
championships
Send
here.
the OVO jet to get him personally. You know that. So he good.
OVO
He good. He
things.
good anywhere in Toronto. Uh-huh. But I good point because I think it is a little bit deeper than that than people think. Nobody's looking into that right now because it's game one of the season. First week of opening week. I mean, yeah, opening week for the season. But I think it's deeper than that. I think he might feel kind of disrespected that all of a sudden you're gonna throw the whole checkbook at Paul George, who shot off the side of the backboard.
Sideboard.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And y'all got me here first, and I recruited him. It's like he kind of feels like the forgotten piece. And talk about taking steps back. I feel like yesterday it was like, all right, not yesterday, Tuesday, he was like,
Yeah.
okay, Paul George, you're being aggressive. Go ahead. I'm going to just pick my spots, which Kawhi is better at doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll see how that plays out.
And they had some help. Baca had 15. He played well. They got
Yeah, we
11
expected that.
from Zubac. Lil Williams
No,
had a small 11.
That,
He
that was
probably gonna do
smart.
more than
That was
that.
smart. Starting Ibaka and
Yeah.
moving Zubac to the bench.
Yeah, because Zubac's not a center.
He,
I'm saying agree with that.
yeah, he's not. He's not. And Ibaka's more versatile. He's more.
But
He's more.
Zubac provided that much energy off the bench. Putting up
Yeah.
11 points.
Yeah,
You know,
better position
so-
for him. He's not going against the top level bigs.
Big shit.
So you already know that Lou Will and Zubac coming off the bench, that's going to be their go-to guys.
And,
Yes, sir.
and they didn't play that deep. They went only like 8 players they played. They didn't really go that deep with
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
rotation.
they didn't. Nope.
So I guess that's what he's trusting. Which is weird because they got Reggie Jackson there, and people thought maybe he might be a key part of their success. But
Yeah, he only played 3 minutes Tuesday night.
in
which
the
is
first
crazy.
game, he didn't get a lot of minutes. So we'll see. They play Denver tomorrow, so we'll see what he looks like when he gets a chance to play against the team that knocked him out the playoffs last year in the
Yeah.
bubble. Well, not even last year, a few months ago in the bubble.
And, I mean, even though he's not a scorer like that, I do like the addition of Nicholas Batum.
Yeah,
He's a player
Yeah,
that does a little
defensively, that's big for
right.
them. It's
He's
another, I guess you could call it a 3-and-D person or just another long defender.
Yeah, and he
yeah,
does a
glue,
little bit of everything, So that's kind of players that will help you win
glue guys.
games.
He's a glue guy at this stage of his career, which I think he's okay with
At this
being.
stage in his career, he a thief. He done stole money from.
He stole it from Charlotte.
Man,
He ain't stealing from
definitely
nobody
stole it from
else. He
Charlotte.
stole it from Charlotte. Formerly, he
His,
had a reasonable contract because he was playing at a high level then. But when he got to Charlotte, now he was stealing money out there. The
yeah,
Frenchman secured the bag for
No,
real.
I mean, he went from having 16, 17 points per game to 3.
Yeah.
bro, but
Some
look,
people may
I
say it's
don't
his
win
injuries,
minutes, and it's the
but
injuries too. And don't nobody want to deal with you when you injured every other week. Got to move on from that.
it's unfortunate. But the Lakers, I always say ring day games are tough games because you're so hyped about getting your ring. And then for the Lakers, with the
With
obviously they do it
fire,
for Kobe, you're honoring Kobe as well. And then they have this more sentiment value with the families announcing the rings of the players. So that was a very emotional night for a lot of guys, and always hard. And I think the stat is in the last 5 years, 4 to 5 teams that were champions that played on opening night, they lost that first game on ring night. So it's tough to play on. I think that was a game really for the Clippers. They wanted to try to get their revenge, even though they didn't lose to the Lakers. They lost to the Nuggets, but they wanted to get that revenge of saying that still the best team in LA or one of the best teams in LA. So they tried to prove that last night.
yeah, they
Schroeder and
they
played
definitely.
well. Kuzma played well at the bench. Harold played well at the bench. So I think for me as a Laker fan watching him, I think Vogel is adjusting to all this talent. He's got so many options and so many different rotations that he could go with that right now I think he's just like, okay, let me see what I can get from this guy with this group. Still kind of experimenting. And they're still learning to play with each other. Wes Matthews, Dennis Schroeder, Harold, Marc Gasol, they're still learning how to play with the pieces that was on the Lakers last year. So I think in time they'll get better. They got a big game tomorrow as well. So if they get a chance to get their feet under them, maybe they bounce back tomorrow night or afternoon rather.
Yeah, yeah,
I think when it comes to the Lakers, despite them losing, it was very encouraging. Just the fact that they were once down 22 points, and they quickly came back. Just shows how talented this team is. Like you said, Schroeder almost had a triple-double. Harold in his debut had 17 and 10. So they have all these pieces surrounding, LeBron and AD that I'm not too worried about the Lakers. It's just, it's going to take a couple games just to get adjusted and, to set
they
each
got some new
lineup
pieces.
and rotation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not really too worried about them.
Yeah, me either, man. Like championship hangover is a thing. We've seen it multiple times. It's not the first time we've seen a team lose on opening night. We've seen the Warriors lose on opening night.
Yeah.
On ring night. Like Keem said, piggybacking off what he said, it's just emotions are high, and then even with this one, they might not be as high as it would be if there were fans there, but they're still high because now you're looking up at the jumbotron, you're seeing your family members.
Yeah.
And then they went deep into the family. A lot of people seen family they haven't seen in a while. Like you can tell by their reaction, so that kind of got the emotions at a different spot. Now you don't really want to, go out there and play ball. You kind of want to reflect and think about your family and stuff like that. Yeah, but they got some great pieces who did play good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just up to Coach Vogel to figure out who needs to be where. But Schroeder balled out, and I think having him in the starting lineup is good. That's gonna stay. I think eventually maybe Trez might work his way in there. It depends because Gasol still looks like Gasol from Toronto.
Right. I was just about to.
It's not going to be long before LeBron tells somebody, "Yo, get him the hell out of here."
I think that's why them losing Dwight Howard and McGee was actually bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Because Gasol is not as active as both of them, and I don't know. I just don't. I see him losing his starter spot sooner than later.
I think that might happen. I honestly think he may lose that starting spot. They may pick up another center from somewhere, or they may consider going with maybe Montrez, or maybe even going with Markeith like they were doing in the bubble at times.
Yeah,
Some
Marquise ready for that. He has experience with them.
at some points, going with AD, even though AD don't like playing the five, but in some games, maybe starting Gasol and then all right, we gotta get you out of there quick fast, and then rotate somebody in. But he's still playing himself into shape. So that's the other
Exactly.
thing too. He's not in his best form of shape yet. So some of that sluggishness is because
Yeah, he looks out of shape.
he's had a longer layoff than the Raptors were in the bubble.
Hmm.
So it's going to take him a while to get himself back in playing shape.
Definitely agree.
So it's an interesting thing there with those teams and those games in early first day. I mean first day basketball, I should say, for the
Yeah,
NBA.
but yeah, then again, it's only one day, so we'll see after like 3 or 4 games how everything comes together.
Moving into Wednesday's games. I know Ant is a very happy man.
I called
He's
game.
a very happy man
I
because
called game.
Jason Tatum out there throwing up horse shots with
I
spinning
called
fadeaways
game.
off the backboard.
I called game. Wasn't
But
a shot stuff.
it was a good game. Wasn't a lot of defense played in that game. Wasn't a lot
No,
of defense played.
not at
Wasn't a
all.
lot of passing played either.
No.
Wasn't a lot of assists given out in that game. I think
Giannis gonna keep getting exposed, but we'll get to that
the
in a
Bucks
second.
had 19 assists as a team, and the Celtics had 23 as a team. So it wasn't a lot of assists being dished out in that game. A lot
Not
of
at
ice,
all.
a lot of get the ball and get a bucket type of basketball being played. But
Which is happens when you got new pieces and
yeah,
starting lineup. So, or even it feels like Boston has a whole new team. I really have not been happy with even
yeah.
though they won.
Was
You
it?
got to pull it out in the regular season, but the way they looked in the preseason was horrible. To the point where I told Soto the other day, I was like, Tuesday morning, I was like, man, I don't think I'm gonna watch that game tonight. I said, I don't know.
It was
They
an
big.
interesting lineup choice Brad Stevens went with too.
Yes, it
We're going
was.
with
It
Tristan
was.
Thompson and Daniel Tice because he kind of went with two bigs that really are not outside threats, but Tice was putting them up.
Tyson was putting them up.
He was putting them up. So I guess maybe him at the four gave him some confidence to jack some more threes up. He got a
Which is
little.
what we like to see. We like to see that.
So it was better. Tristan Thompson, I think, had a double double. Not mistaken, or close to a double double. He had 12 and
Yeah,
8.
Yeah.
12 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he played at a high enough of a where it's something that y'all can respect and use moving forward.
I mean, I was
Jeff
surprised.
Teague was big off the bench.
I was surprised at Jeff Teague. Kind of.
Teague, I definitely I liked it a lot. Typical vet. He was cruising through the preseason of those two games. Didn't really show much, but when it was game time, he knew what it was. He's a good fit. Both of them, Thompson and him, are good fits.
Yeah.
Thompson, I think Brad made that move because from day one, Brad was saying that he was bringing that type of energy. That the Celtics came into camp with like a sluggish type of energy. So with Thompson bringing that, let's go, let's get it, just that intensity is great. So that's probably why he threw him in the lineup. There's gonna be times when he's not in the lineup for sure. Like
Yeah, he's still
it
dealing
probably
with a
depends on who
hamstring.
it depends on who they're facing. Tomorrow we'll see. Tomorrow might be one of the games where he's not in the lineup. Just
That's
based
much.
off, it depends on But if Brooklyn goes with DeAndre Jordan, why not? Because DeAndre Jordan's on
Probably,
the
you got to keep him off the backboard.
exactly. But Tatum's gonna have to shoot better. I think at one point it was just like he's at this point where he's like, I want to get a bucket, I want to have a good game to prove people it's not the hair that got me shooting like crap, or not the hair that got me.
He got the Diddy curls.
So he shot like crap. He pulled the cover. He shot like crap first half, and then around midway through the third quarter, seen a few buckets go in, and then
He finished
there goes
12
the
for
ocean.
28.
Yeah, and scored 30. So if you gotta take 28 shots and score 30, that's not efficient. He owned up to it right away. And
Brown was 13 for 24 with 33.
yeah, but Brown, I was more impressed with Brown's game, and it sucks that people don't talk about Brown as much as Tatum. I know Tatum hit the game winner, but people got to think about what got them to that game winner. Brown playing defense, Brown carrying that second unit most of the time,
Yeah.
and making that run second quarter. Because I watched the full game. I don't know if you guys, I know the Knicks were playing. He
But, yeah.
carried the run second quarter, and then third quarter had a good run before Tatum got hot. So it was good to see him.
But your analytics people, he was a +8. That's your highest in your starting five.
Exactly.
For his plus and minus. Tatum was a -6, ironically enough.
Yeah.
Even though he hit the game-winning shot. That was an interesting game for me because Milwaukee really They had good games out of the right people. They just didn't shoot that great. Giannis looked winded at times. There was times he was calling for a sub, so it doesn't look like he's in
Yep.
his normal game shape just yet. Middleton went 10 for 20 to get his 27. It wasn't necessarily, it's 50% give or take, but
Yeah, not as efficient as you see from
it's
him from
it's
Boston.
usually he doesn't take that many shots to get his 20 plus points. He usually takes less to get them because he gets to the free throw line a little more. He didn't get to the free
Yeah,
throw line as much that game.
I'll be honest with you. Like, Milwaukee's starting lineup played amazing. Even with Drew Holiday's being
The new big three, Giannis,
right,
Middleton, and
but
Holiday.
their bench was
Trash.
just
They got
well, they went
six
four
points from
deep.
they got
Covington
12
and 3
points. They got
from
12
Bobby
points.
Portis.
They got 12
And
points off the bench.
Forbes had 3 points. That's the other
Right.
scorer.
And then Boston's bench had 30. I think it was like 34, 35 points off the bench.
Yeah.
Hyman was
Yeah.
Teague with 19.
There was no help for that starting lineup, and I mean,
I agree with that, but I'm gonna have to call out Giannis on this one. Not because the making miss free the one for two at the line. He was doing that all night. He does that every night. That's what sometimes he airballs. So Giannis not shooting free throws great is nothing new. He has to have extra level to his game. It's crazy because everybody knows when he gets the rebound, it's downhill. Smart drew questionably a good 5 charges on him. I think he only got called for 3 charges by Smart, and I think 1 for maybe Ojale or something. But everybody knows what's coming. He got 1 move. It's downhill. Kind of similar to how LeBron was when LeBron first came. But LeBron was different because LeBron would take off from the end of the free throw line. Giannis will pick up that dribble, and it's the Euro, or just someone just roll the ball over you or just dunk over you.
Yeah.
But when somebody gets in your chest, like a Ojale, a Smart, a Brown, and they're sitting their chest out, they're taking that hit. The ref's going to always call that charge in that favor. He's getting mad. He gets frustrated. He's on the bench pouting. Boy, come up with a different move. He needs to. I was telling Sody, he needs to learn how to figure out how to stop, hop step, a floater, something, a midi, like anything. He pulled a lot of threes.
I agree with
Let's
that.
talk about how he took 8. You
Yeah,
think
I
he
agree
KD?
with that. He
8
just didn't
threes?
make none of them, but he was taking them. That's a step, right?
It's
I
a
think-
step. It's a step.
To echo what you said about another layer of his game, I'm a kind of take it back. I think this is one of these moments where Milwaukee pulled the trigger a little too quick on Jason Kidd. He was trying to teach him to be like LeBron, like you just mentioned. LeBron wasn't a great shooter, but because his passing was so good, it didn't matter if you walled up the paint against him. He would just find the open man.
Yep.
Giannis hasn't learned to do that yet. And I think it's because on this team with Mike Budenholzer, he's not playing a point forward. He's just playing the forward position.
A slasher, maybe.
So if he was still learning how to be a point forward, when he gets the rebound and he's coming down in transition, with the shooting that he does have around him, he should be able to find these shooters for wide open shots that they can make at an efficient rate.
Yeah, but DiVincenzo.
But because he's doing this, like you said, the Euro step or that signature spin move, a lot of times he's out of control. Like there was one play I had to change the channel because Crooks Webber was talking about he looked like Magic Johnson. I'm like, where?
We're not going to talk about his commentary, man.
He came down the court and he did like a double clutch layup and he just happened to find Brian Forbes in the corner. He didn't know he was there. It just happened to throw it out to him. But so that's the layer of his game he doesn't have yet, is he hasn't learned how to drive and kick. And you would think by this point in time, the way he plays, he would have figured that out by now.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's when the coaching plays a part. Maybe with Drew Holiday can break some things down some, because Drew Holiday had a great opener for Milwaukee. Almost won the game. Hit a clutch 3 to put them up by 1 was made things become
like 76ers Drew Holiday. I'm not gonna lie, he looked like 76ers Drew Holiday.
Definitely. I feel like that was part of the reason why Tatum shot like crap, because it's not like, okay, I have Middleton on me, but then Middleton and Tatum used to always cancel out, because eventually Tatum will get somebody else on him, and it's like, all right, I can get going. And when Middleton comes back off the bench, he's like, damn, I got him hot, right? Yeah. But now it's like, Middleton, get your rest. We go inside Drew on him. Drew's lanky. He's a big guard, so he can guard up Brown, Tatum. Very quick hands and very quick feet. There was a time when T got by him, and I'm like, oh, that's good, because T had just scored 2 or 3 points straight. And then here comes Holiday. Bow, give me that. a block, and it's just you just gotta realize, oh yeah, that's Drew Holiday. So it's crazy. It's crazy. He had a great opener for them, and I think that's a big piece. But again, it's not the starting five at all. Even with us break it down, Giannis is horrible ball handling or lack thereof of playmaking. It's
it's more
bench.
like in the second group. That's where he really has to be. Like if he's not if he takes out Middleton first, and then, or if he takes out Giannis and lets him get his break, and then he brings Middleton in the second group. I think Middleton has to be bubble Middleton, like when Giannis went down. When Giannis is not on the court, I think he has to play like how he played in the bubble. Like, okay, I got to get the ball out and play like a playmaker and a scorer. He doesn't do that when Giannis is on the bench in a uniform playing. He's a little more passive, which I think hurted them. When the Celtics went on that run is when Giannis was out the game and Middleton was on the court, and then it was like, okay, the offense
with a bunch of the bench players, and he was not doing nothing.
The offense wasn't the same, and then that's when Brown and Tatum got hot at the same time, and then y'all kind of looked like y'all was about to smack the Milwaukee Bucks.
We were up by double digits, and then Boston did what Boston does, aka Brad. You have your star player struggling, and he gets hot. Number one rule. I mean, I don't got no crazy resume, but to me it's common sense. Number one rule: if you see a player getting hot after they've been struggling, not for just that game, but for 3-4 games, let them sit in. Skip that normal. Oh, I'm gonna sit him the beginning of the fourth quarter and then bring him in around the 5-6 minute mark. No, play him beginning of the fourth quarter. Sit Brown and then switch it around because he was getting hot. That game does not go that way if he lets Tatum get hot, because we've seen he's a shot creator. He sees one goal and he sees two. He gets to the free throw line. Now we sitting side steps, hash mark shots, crazy things. We've seen that. I know Brown was hot too, but then when Brad took him out and it was just Brown was like, damn, now I gotta start they're still kind of playing seesaw, and I gotta restart my streak. And good thing Teague was like the glue between those two guys and was like, you know what, until you guys get going again, I'm going to just keep attacking. Teague's a good backup for Kemba when Kemba's back, but he's a good replacement for Kemba until Kemba's back because he's penetrating low-key better than Kemba. Sometimes I've been noticing
it's funny.
Contact. Yeah. Like he's looking back.
Letting Teague play like Kemba. That's the funny part. Like
legit,
how he should let Kemba
play,
he lets Teague play. So it's kind of funny. I'm hoping because I'm a Kemba guy. I'm hoping this change is a Brad Stevenson realizing I gotta let my pick and roll guards
play pick and roll,
and not try to
create that penetration, and then you get that. What did Ojale have? Ojale had a good amount of points.
I'll tell you.
5. But it might like be like, oh, it was a good 5 because it came at a good time. Like he was in the corner just sitting there, and with Teague penetrating with that second unit, you get guys like Pritchard, Ojale, Williams over the top for dunks. Like it just builds confidence for your bench.
Grant Williams was shooting threes. He was open. He was so open sometimes. He was open for a corner three. Same thing with Tice. And I think that helps Tatum and Brown get going when you have a guy that does the pick and roll, because now they can come off some pin downs and come off of some slacks across the middle of the lane or some curls to get some open shots where they don't have to be shooting falling out of bounds with two defenders on them.
Tice is loving having Tristan Thompson. Because now he doesn't have to play.
I'm loving Tristan Thompson being there, man. Them offensive rebounds, we've never seen those before. Well, besides when King play those 10 minutes a game.
Tice go nowhere near the offensive backboard now. He just be like that.
That's cool.
I told Ant, man. I told Ant that Thompson was an underrated pickup move. And that he was going to get all the.
He was. You just see him being scrappy. You see him getting after it, basically like the smart of the big men for Boston right now. You see him being scrappy. I like that, but something that's not going to show in the box score is I told Soto. I called this out to Soto yesterday. I noticed. I've been noticing about Thompson. He gets the ball, power dribble right up. All of a sudden, Tice isn't so shaky with the ball. Tice is eligible right up, just like Thompson. So Thompson's doing stuff behind the scenes with Tice that we'll see later on that I just picked up right away because I just know how soft Tice usually is. So if you didn't see Tice get a rebound, it'd be forget all y'all, I'm going to be aggressive. Oh shoot, this is a new Tice. All
He
right,
don't have.
Tice, do your thing.
It's because he don't have to bang on defense as much. Like when
That
he's on
too.
the court
That
with
too.
Thompson, he's usually on the perimeter now. So he's not taking that same physical punishment like he normally takes on offense. Like
But he
against the
really isn't
Heat,
built
like against the Heat, when y'all play, he don't have to worry about Bam treating him like he ain't
like
on
a
the court.
kid.
Like it's not gonna look bad. It's just like, okay, I don't want no parts of you. You're aware of this. Go, I'm gonna get my big brother on you. Go handle that, Thompson, because I'm
Yeah.
not stepping on the court with him. And he really was having me weak because he's like trailing the court now, pulling up threes like he's Kevin Love on the Cavs now. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
Then maybe that's what they're trying to form. Maybe
so
that's what they're trying to
he's
form.
stepping out his
Yeah,
comfort zone a
no.
little bit.
I like it though. Sometimes you gotta do that to create that next tier. I won't say top tier, but that next tier to your game. But one more thing before we move on. I don't want to drag out the Boston thing because I'm a Boston fan. Like I said, that doesn't show in the box score, but Soto picked it up. The rookie Pritchard, I wasn't sure why they were so sold on him, but it
He's a
showed
lockdown
yesterday
defender.
he was picking up people full court trap, and then you got smart blitzing. He's diving on the floor
Actually,
again, stuff that don't show up in the box score. Yes, yes. Who'd you
He's
compare
a
him to
really
yesterday,
good
Soto?
defender.
You compared
I
him to
compared like
a Caruso.
yeah,
He
like
might
a
not like that,
Caruso.
but he compared him to like a
No,
Caruso.
no, like
First of all,
not
Bald Eagle is the GOAT.
word.
Okay?
Like people like Caruso, Delvedova. Those are pesky defenders, and that's what I saw from Pritchard
Yeah,
yesterday.
irritate people. Yeah, nobody likes that.
Full court pressure.
Yes,
Yo,
that's
It's
in
Beverly
honestly,
defense.
that's all the time.
honestly,
Yeah,
that's gonna make one of these players one of these days take a swing at Pritchard.
and then he's gonna flop because Smart already took him under the wing,
Oh, you
so he's
already
gonna
know
flop and
that.
then boom.
Not at the barbecue. No, that was a good thing. But I know, so we're gonna move on like Ann has wished because Ann don't want to spend too much time talking about his beloved Boston Celtics.
It was one game, man.
You know what I mean? So we're gonna go on to the second game, which was the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns.
hmm
That was an interesting game because I'm gonna start off with the Suns. Because
Okay.
down the stretch of the game, the person who you thought was going to make the plays wasn't the person. Like when we think big shots on that team, we just got so used to thinking Devin Booker, and then Chris Paul. Even though he had 8, but it seemed like all his 8 came down the stretch of that game. He was like, "Hold on, young fella, I'm gonna show you how y'all do this real quick, because I can still got some big shots in me."
hmm
And he quietly closed out that game when, as a fan, you're sitting there thinking, okay, Doncic is about to just take over any point in time. Any point in time, he's going to take over this
Yeah,
game,
it
and he's
felt
going to
like one
close
of
it
those
out the
games.
game.
Yep.
But he steadied the ship and closed off the game for them. Something that they didn't have last year. An experienced player that down the stretch of the game knows what to do and just makes the right play and helps them win close games.
Yeah, that's why they brought him in. So that shows, that closer, that veteran leader. Um, but we're not gonna take anything from D Book. D Book's super efficient, probably one of the most
Yeah.
efficient people, like up there with KD efficiency. 8 for 15, 22 points, easy, 34 minutes. But what I think it was that we could talk about the closing buckets for Chris Paul, but we got to talk about how Mikal Bridges went off. Now, if he playing like that, this Phoenix could be scary because to get 18 from him on 4 for 7 from 3 and 5 11 from
He got to be Oubre.
that's
And
different.
then
Yeah,
also,
7 rebounds.
I also
Yeah.
told you guys that I was a big fan of Cam Johnson, and
Yep, 15 off the bench.
15 off the bench, yeah.
like his points per game
15 and 5.
started showing like during the bubble, because I think he
Even-
went from like
even
8
before
points
the
per
season
game
closed
to like
down.
13 or 14.
Even before he was playing like that before the season got shut down. He had started finding a rhythm.
And I think he's the first guy off the bench. But
Yes,
you
he
know,
is. Yep.
But Phoenix,
Yeah, even without him,
that
they
bench
can't retain.
you had 15 from Johnson, you had 11 from Payne, and then you had 11 from Galloway.
Yeah.
So everybody was doing their part. in
Shout
that
out to the
one.
former Nick, Langston Galloway. Shout out to
Yeah.
the former Nick.
Yep. You know how that go. Hey,
Everybody plays well.
hey,
once
Mark
they
Jackson said it. He said he a knockdown shooter, and he was knocking them down yesterday. That's for
Bucket.
sure.
He was dropping his buckets with the Knicks. I ain't gonna lie, he was.
He's gonna work his way higher up to that rotation for sure. Like he might be top coming off the bench.
Yeah. The only critique I would have, I got to see Aiden be more aggressive. That's the only thing I would have to say from that game. He got to take more than 9 shots. You can't be the second option and you take 9 shots. I'm sorry. If y'all you and Book gonna call yourselves the second coming of Kobe and Shaq, you got to take more than 9 shots, big fella.
You gotta be dominant like Shaq would be. Demand
and
the
it,
ball,
and
even
it's
if it's.
not. And this is a team last night that, I mean, Dwight Powell is a good defender. I'm not taking anything from Dwight Powell. He is a good defender, but he doesn't get the same love as a Joel Embiid or Rudy Gobert or Bam, guys like that. Even on Whiteside when he's engaged, of being capable of being those type of defenders in the post. So to him not be that aggressive, that's the only thing in a game one that I'm like, oh man. Jay Crowder looked like Miami Heat in the finals. Crowder. I obviously he need the Celtics to come back so he can start hitting again because he ain't found his shot since he stopped playing Boston. So he was off last night, but he's mostly there to play defense more than anything else. But I think if they get that consistent production from Cam Johnson off the bench, they get that consistent production from Cameron Payne, even if Galloway chips in something, and then Ayton has more of a 20-10 type game, and then you get your 25 and 30 from Devin Booker, and then Chris Paul can get to about maybe 10 points, 10 assists of what average in the season. They'll be able to sneak into the playoffs if they stay healthy and productive. Dallas, they need that man Porzingis to come back healthy and quickly.
They need to help Luka ASAP.
Because they have a good team. I think I said it before. I think they found something with Doncic and Richardson because Richardson is more of a defender than Doncic is. So they finally have somebody that is going to be the guy when Rick Carlisle says, oh, I need to put somebody on this guy to slow him down. He's the guy that's going to raise his hand. And he's going to take that challenge of guarding other teams' good perimeter defenders. Offensive players.
Yeah.
But if he's spending that energy, sometimes his points may take a hit, but he played well. He had 12 points, and he did play a good job defensively. Tim Hardaway had 12. Finney had 11. But that's just, small pieces that with Porzingis there, it's better than when he's not there. That's not enough. 10 points, 12 points there is not enough for Doncic to have to score 40 for having a chance to win the game. So they really need Porzingis' 20 points.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I agree. They missed Porzingis, but honestly, low key, they missed Seth. They missed Seth bad because Seth was that person that had in the bubble. Yeah, he created that chemistry with Luka, where it was okay. When they put me in, take a break, take your foot off the gas a little bit. Let's run some plays. I'm gonna get these buckets. Or even if Luka got in foul trouble, they put Seth in there with the bench or with a few of the starters, and he's still running it smoothly. And they lost him, and they didn't really get anybody to replace him. So I feel like not having Porzingis is gonna be a bumpy start. I don't know exactly how long it's gonna be before Porzingis can come back, but if we say like the first month is gonna be up and down with Dallas. It all depends on who they're playing. Having games every other day. So we'll see how that goes. That might not be pretty either, but Luka also tweaked his ankle. I think it was just running back on defense by himself. That's another thing. Can Luka stay healthy? It's too early to be getting nagging. Yeah, I know.
He plays with him. Yeah, he plays with a lot of bumpy injuries.
He's a warrior, and most European players are. Think about Ginobili's, Parkers. Yeah. They all play through it, but it's just like it's too early to be getting things like that already, like nagging injuries. An ankle, you tweaked it, you're gonna feel it because again, it's still a bubble-like schedule. It's every other day. It's every other day, maybe sometimes with 2 days off in between, but it's gonna be every other day. Now you add in travel, so it's just like some things are gonna have to show up. Some bench players are gonna have to show up a little bit more. Even offensive players, maybe Tim Hardaway becomes more consistent, which we know he could be. He has hot streaks too, so we'll see. They'll be lingering around that spot. I think we all had him around the 5th, 6th spot. They'll be lingering around that spot, trying to maintain until Porzingis comes back that they can make an actual push, maybe. But I was waiting for Luka to have that Luka moment where he goes off for 10, 12 points straight, but. With Phoenix and the defenders and just the way Chris Paul is being just that OG scrappy guard, it was just hard for him to get over that.
He controlled the tempo.
Yeah,
of that game, not gonna lie. Chris Paul really controlled the tempo of that game.
Exactly. He that's what they brought him in for, and he did exactly what he needed to do.
I mean, when it comes to Dallas, like I saw, positives in Luka, getting back to that MVP form, and then Richardson is a perfect compliment to Luka, as Keem said earlier. My my critique would be probably to Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, you're getting paid $19 million.
Oh,
You're
that's that
shooting
Knicks.
3 for 10. You need to be more consistent than that.
For
Like,
sure.
and this also just goes to the rest of the team. It's just they need to shoot better. I think they shot 24% from the 3-point line, 9 for 37. They just
They
need to
did.
give Luka that extra hand if they want to be into the playoffs, because
Yeah, I agree.
it's, I mean, Luka can only take you so
So
far.
it's start,
So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, at a
yeah,
certain
And you
level.
also don't want them to burn out in a 72 game projected 72 game
Yeah,
season.
James Harden.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's a good thing that Ant, that you mentioned Curry, because they're definitely like missing him right now.
yeah,
Really?
for sure,
For
for
sure.
sure.
You know.
So it's interesting. It's very interesting. Day two, Wednesday's games as a whole look better than obviously the debut games. They were more consistent play. Teams look good. We
Close
started
games,
close games, a lot of close games, some game winners, some overtime games.
buddy.
So we started off with the debut games, where we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back with the rest of the games played on Wednesday. All right. All right, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back from that short little break that we took. Before the break, we were going over the Wednesday's games, went over the doubleheader that was on ESPN on Wednesday. So now we're moving on to games that we watched and took an interest to that we thought were worthy of talking about right now. So because I'm a New Yorker, I'm gonna start off with the New York Knicks, and we already talked about Boston, so it's only fair to talk about their once rival, the New York Knicks, back in the days. Taking a stroll down to the 80s and the 90s where the Knicks and the Celtics were an Eastern Conference rival. They're not no more. So um, the Knicks are painful to watch right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Knicks fan. My dad's a Knicks fan, and most people I know who New York are Knicks fans. They grew up, depending on how old they are, they grew up watching the Knicks when they were competing for championships. Lastly, the one being with Walt Clyde himself, dishing and swishing, spinning and winning. But those days now are just the
Well,
Knicks being his great catchphrases. Tenacious D, OB topping, popping, things of that nature. Then, so I'm gonna go to Soto first because I feel like he is itching to talk about his Knicks because
Let
I
it
can see
out,
the
Soto.
stress building in his face.
no, I mean, there were certain things that I liked from their debut, especially from RJ Barrett. I was very impressed with him. Um, he took a massive leap forward and showed major improvement. And right now in the second year, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. So
Rookie that all rookie team snub.
right, first half he went, I think he went 8 for 8, and he shot 3 for 3 from the 3-point line,
Everybody's
which,
going crazy.
yeah, I was just like, is this really happening right now?
Hmm.
And he ended the game with 26.
Yeah,
So he was one of those like bright spots, from the game. Also, Julius Randle,
he almost had a
who
double double, a
he
triple
almost
double
had a
rather.
triple double, yeah. Um, but some things that are concerning
He was
about
one
this
assist
next
short. Yeah, nine
team.
assists.
I'm sorry, you said what?
For me,
Me?
oh, I
No, no,
said
you.
he was one assist short of his triple double. He had nine.
Yeah,
Oh, no. One of the things that's really concerning about the Knicks is their point guard situation. Um, they it's left me speechless because it's like they I don't know, man. And plus the guy who was balling out for them on preseason, Emmanuel quickly,
Got a
got
hip
injured
pointer.
yesterday. So like I don't know, man. It's just really depressing right now. Um,
See, I think Ant's lucky because he don't being in Boston, he don't get MSG, so he don't have to sit through that agonizing game sometimes.
facts.
Uh Sabonis killed him. I think he finished the game with either 33 or 32 points. So
32.
He was getting away
Sabonis,
with anything he wanted to against.
he was killing them. And it's weird considering the fact that y'all bought in Nerlens Noel, who's a guy that's supposed to be a rim protector and a rebounder. Mitchell Robinson is supposed to be his strength right now. And y'all give up a lot of layups. So it's weird that a team that has players on the court that are supposed to be capable inside defenders and forces, y'all give up so many layups. Malcolm Brogdon also played well too. And that is worse right now for y'all because you're not getting productive point guard play on the offensive side. And then if you're going to not have good point guard play on the defensive side, it's basically like the Knicks are playing 5-on-4 right now.
Yeah.
They have no point guard on the court on either side of the ball. So it makes it worse.
Miles Turner, 8 blocks. He had a big game.
And Oladipo looked like
Oladipo's second half, yeah. The only one, obviously, who didn't kind of like bowl out for the Pacers was T.J. Warren, who hasn't been the same since his foot injury.
Because
he's expected.
Yeah,
he's expected with Oladipo back. Unfortunately, that's just how he was when Oladipo was there. He's been taking the backseat.
Yeah, he kind of had to take that role with Oladipo gone, and now it's like, okay, back to life, back to reality.
Don't play my man's like that. But the Knicks was in it for a while. It was a close game and a half. And parts of the third quarter was close, and then I don't know what happened
took over, and that was all she wrote. That was
121, 109.
I wouldn't quit on your Knicks shit, so though. It's one game, number one. Number two, the biggest problem is the point guard thing. I definitely agree. Just looking at the stats, the minutes, they're all over the place. The best option, based off what RJ did, looking like he's ready to make that leap. It looked like he's about to make a Tatum leap off that first game. We're not going to get too crazy, but if he is consistent like that, it's going to be a Tatum-like leap. Then look at
Tatum, yes.
Then that would be great for y'all. I think Obi's going to play better throughout. He'll have bad games because everybody hits that rookie wall, but he'll play better. It was his debut, so he played shaky a little bit in times, but let RJ run the point. Get Alfred Payton the hell out of there. Y'all are sold on this young guy quickly, right? I know he got hurt, but y'all are sold on him. He's eventually going to end up making that way to that starting lineup. And then what happened to Frank? He played, 9 minutes? Not even 9 minutes. What was it? 5 minutes.
5, yeah.
And that's a lanky point guard who's a defender who you would think would dwell in a tip system. He's just trying to figure out pieces right now. So I say give it about a month before you go. It's depressing. They didn't look bad in the beginning, and then they're young. So it's going to be fourth quarters are going to be the most hardest thing to watch as a Celtics fan. I know because we still look like we're young in the fourth quarter all the time.
I think it's just going to be interesting going forward, like what happens, with quickly how long he's going to be out because Tibbs was really depending on him and was really high on him because he kind of brings like a different kind of energy, right? So then,
some offense.
Right. So then now it's like, Frank barely saw any minutes, and then Dennis Smith didn't even see the court.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting Dennis Smith is part of the team. So it's like now you're going to have to give one or the other some minutes.
I think I'm not sure if it might have been Wally Serbiak in the post game. It's an interesting concept. He just said the Knicks just don't have a lot of talent. It's like he sees what Tibbs is trying to do with the defense,
don't have the talent for it. Yeah,
and offense, but they just don't have the talent to consistently execute what he wants to get done. And he's kind of, in a sense, he's maximizing what he has. And I also think there's some showcasing going on. I think they're trying to showcase Knox. They're trying to showcase Randall, because that might be the two biggest assets that the Knicks have if they want to trade somebody.
Right.
So
well, Knox didn't have a good showcase.
Nah. Randall did, but not Knox. But I think if Randall keeps playing better, somebody like a team that's coming into the trading deadline, like, if we had just like a piece off the bench, that guy that could come in and give us some scoring and some productivity might be willing to do that. Same thing like somebody like Burks. I think eventually he'll start to get more minutes for the same reason to try to showcase the two of them and maybe package them to get some younger players or some aspiring.
I say keep Burks. This is why I say if RJ makes a leap, a Tatum-like leap, take Alfred Payton out the starting lineup, let RJ be the main ball handler. He was a ball handler at Duke. He was a ball handler in high school too. Let him be the primary ball handler, and then throw Brooks in the starting lineup. If you look at the box score, they're the two highest scorers right there. But I mean,
Mhm.
granted, you have to make sure that Barrett could keep it up for more than just the opening night game, which everybody's hyped for. You know what I'm saying? But if he keeps that up, let him run that. And then Brooks is a defender who Tibbs needs in the starting lineup because, like you guys said, one of the players that killed them was Oladipo. So
Yeah.
Oladipo killed them. He got hot at the right time.
And
And
and no, and I also wanted to mention like um Sabonis, killing them. It was due to again a problem that the Knicks bigs have, and
Mhm.
that's
foul trouble.
foul trouble.
Yeah. Robinson
And
again.
and once they were in foul trouble, they had no answer for Sabonis. Absolutely none. So
Very
he
crafty.
got exactly he got away with
Very crafty. It's like his
Whatever
game
murder,
like
everything
that.
whatever he wanted to do.
exactly.
Yeah,
His
he's a
his
good
high
player.
post game is a lot like his dad when he was on the Blazers. His ability to pass out of the high post screen and then go down to the low post. He's very skilled at that, and that really bothered the Knicks. Now, another game that happened Wednesday that I liked a little bit was I liked the Pelicans Raptors game only because it gave a small taste to how good that Pelicans team can be when they're playing at a high level. And I think JJ Redick as a six-man role might really be a good fit for him right now. So he can come in with the second group and he's featured
Fly
to get
away.
going so he could just put up his shots. He had 23 points off the bench,
He
and
took
that was
14 shots,
very,
11
very
threes. He
good.
letting it fly.
So it's like him coming in. I used to joke when he was with the Clippers, he would have like 30 in the first half and did not score in the second half.
Yep.
So it's
Never
Right.
kind of
miss a
like it's kind of like now coming off the bench. It's like him playing half of a quarter in each game of the game. He
Yeah.
can kind of have that one half in those quarters to help them get over that hump. Brandon Ingram looked like he's turning that corner into being a superstar in the
Yep.
league.
He deserved
I'm
that moment.
happy for him because in LA he had a lot of pressure on his back. Being a guy from
As a
LA, being
young
a
player.
lottery pick and being young,
Yeah.
they thought they had the next LeBron, the next Kobe, or somebody like that, and he wasn't that at that moment. He got a lot of KD comparisons that wasn't fair to him right out the box. So now that he's finally found his niche and his home in New Orleans, he's looked good. A healthy Zion is looking scary.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo with that dual guard lineup with him and Bledsoe, where he can spend times off and on the ball, is helping him. I ain't seen Lonzo score 16 points in a game and shoot well from the field since he was
Keep
at
shooting.
UCLA. So
Yeah.
He was hitting
he
them.
Yeah. Almost.
he was
Almost.
shooting with confidence and he was making them, and he was still getting his assists and still was helping out on defense. And Bledsoe seems to look like Clipper Bledsoe right now. And it's one game, but with this team, it allows him to
To be more
get the ball and
free.
run. Which when in Milwaukee, the guy who got the ball and run was Antetokounmpo. So now he can share that responsibilities with Lonzo and do that.
For sure.
They're playing defense, so I like that too.
Well, that lineup is a good defensive lineup where when we can't, forget the fact that they got Adams, like
It's a
who
pretty
was
it's a
a
pretty scary
good
lineup.
rebounder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we just said about Bledsoe, Bledsoe is able to be himself and be Clippers Bledsoe, where he actually made a name for himself and ended up getting paid for that,
Mhm.
and run the offense, just run and gun, basically just fast pace, which is good for Ball too, because he can spot up or Ball can push it too, and we already know what Zion does on the break. So
Zion
that
smash.
yeah, that's great. But also, I don't know if you guys caught on. He hasn't been dunking OD like that. It's been a lot of. He said last year that he's been working on landing because he had that injury and
Yeah.
had to become a better lander. You can tell that he worked on that in the off season because he is like, you know what, I'm not gonna dunk everything. I'm gonna just
It's that modern
hard
science.
layups in ones.
To piggyback off that real quick, that's the one thing that I think if Derrick Rose had to learn that, it would have saved his
It
career.
would. Yes, exactly. You don't have to dunk aggressively all the time, even though it was great to watch when he did it. But yeah, great first game, and then it's also good for them because it's like they have 2 point guards starting with Bledsoe and Ball, so you can keep one of them in while the other one rests because the bench is going to need that. As you can see, besides Redick, they didn't get no production on the bench, so
True. Josh Hart
they're
had
gonna
6.
need
He
that.
was doing something. He was
I,
doing
I
something
just
at
I
6.
just think
Yeah,
that what Key mentioned earlier, having Reddick come off the bench, I think that's the most ideal role for him at this point.
yep,
Somebody who can shoot lights out from the 3-pointer. coming from the bench, scoring 23. You're going to need, a six-man guy, and he is their guy. So, and then everyone else, Lonzo now having new confidence to shoot the ball. He mentioned Bledsoe looking like, shades of Clipper Bledsoe.
Yep.
And then with Zion, and Adams, they complement each other. So it's a good blend. And obviously Ingram playing like an MVP, 24, 9 and 11. It's a fun team to watch right now.
And I was almost forgot. Being with Stan Van Gundy, JJ Redick is back with his first coach. So there's a
Gundy
sense
knows how to
of
use him.
there's a familiarity there of knowing the type of player that he is and what he can bring to this young team, and that's a spark off the bench. And piggybacking the Soto with the Adams and Zion, they both move really well without the ball in their hands. Their sense of moving to open space makes for easy passes for guys like Lonzo and now Bledsoe. So they get a lot of high percentage shots. That's the scary thing about this team is because they got two players on the court in Zion and Adams that's probably going to shoot like 50+% from the field.
Yeah.
Because and then you got a guy on the bench and JJ Redick that shoots about 40% from three. So you got a lot of efficient, and even Ingram is starting to learn to be more efficient because he's getting more mature and older. He's taking better shots now. It's not forcing some shots he used to take when he was younger. He's
spot.
understanding get to my spots and how to shoot over the top of people. Now you can see some of those KD comparisons because he does use his length to shoot over people, and he does have that sneaky, explosive athleticism.
Yeah.
Where if he drives against you, you don't think he's going to dunk on you, and then he catches you.
Yeah.
So that team is the emphasis on defense. I know Zion was on NBA Serious Radio one time, and he did an interview, and he talked about how the first day of practice, Van Gundy did 3 hours of practice. They didn't touch a ball. It was all defense. A lot of footwork, a lot of rotation work. So his emphasis on defense for this young athletic team, you could already see it starting to come together. And advancing is one game, but for teams that are young, you like to see that process immediately rather than later because you know it's going to get better as they start to win more games. Now, moving into the Raptors, Van Fleet wanted the bag, but you gotta play like you got that bag. You can't ask for it, then get it, and then disappear on the first game of the season. You gotta come out. You gotta give me more than 9 on 3 for 12, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
if he plays better, the game might go different.
He very does
He
because
is their third scorer.
Pascal played somewhat like his normal self. I think OG didn't have a great game. That he's another one playing, and he's a contract guy. He already said he's going to test a free agent. So if you're looking for money in the offseason, you're going to have to make sure that you can solidify yourself as this team's legit third option. Kyle Lowry, this is why I said I think this team is always going to be consistent because it's like this guy is like he's getting better with age. It just seems like when he was younger, people was like, oh, Lowry, trash, Lowry. But as he's getting older, I think that championship drip, it ain't going nowhere. It's still there. To come out, a guy that was battling was in some injuries in the bubble, and a guy who was battling injuries limited him in the preseason to come out that first game and have 18 and 10.
Yep.
That's impressive for a guy at his age right now. Norman Powell had 12. Kid Chris Boucher had 12. That's the backup power forward that they have on that team. He had 12. I think they'll be fine as long as Van Fleet plays well. As long as he plays well, the Raptors will be the normal Raptors. He's allowed to have bad games. He's human. But if you're going to get paid big money, you got to have big-time games. That's all it simply is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Raptors are a solid team. And I'm just going to piggyback on what you said. Van Fleet got paid for only to produce 9 points, 3 of 12 shooting. Yes, we know it's one game, but I hope he doesn't, make it a habit. And then obviously, Siakam, normal 20 points. But he's somebody that I believe has to take that extra step because, we know that Lowry's the general of this team, but we're going to need Siakam to step up and take over.
You got to be a 25 a game scorer guy.
Easily.
Yeah, I mean he had the 20. Before I get into the Raptors, one more thing about Ingram's opener. I think that went under the radar. He almost had a triple double. He had
Yeah.
9 rebounds. He had 11 assists. So I mean, I know it's just one game, like you said. We'll take it with a grain of salt or whatever. But if he's really improved his playmaking like that, that's scary. Because then he can get into that KD type tier where it's like, okay,
Makes sense. He's been around enough playmakers. I mean,
yeah,
he's been around
and
enough.
exactly. And then just like you guys said, Toronto just needs to figure out who that third scorer is. Honestly, they don't need to figure it out because it could be anybody. They just need somebody to show up. And that's one of those games where it wasn't OG and it wasn't Fred. And it's like, okay, y'all both can't be off the same night. One of y'all
Right.
gotta, yeah.
It could even be Norman Powell.
But you better stop, OG.
Exactly. It was exactly Norman Powell at one point was balling out for them where he could have been 6 man of the year. And then, kind of dipped down a little bit last year. And, the bubble could have played effect in that or whatever.
He played
it
well
is.
in the bubble, to be honest.
He did.
He played well.
He did.
He played well.
But yeah,
it was a weird game.
They might have to lean on him more. Yeah, I mean,
Baines
no.
was pretty solid too.
He just shot like crap. So yeah, actually no, he was out there. He shot like crap.
Baines had 11
I
and
feel like
9.
they're missing that center. Baines isn't the center for Toronto. Baines is a center, but I don't know if he's a center for Toronto. We'll see, but I feel like they're just missing that center because when you had Gasol, when you had Ibaka, like it stretches the floor, and Baines can stretch the floor, but he's also a rim protector. I don't see Baines as a rim protector, even though he, did play for my team before. I just don't see him as a rim protector. I don't think anybody sees him. If they see Baines, it's just Baines. So I feel like
who's your team, by the way?
Boston, quit playing. You know my team. You know what my team is.
He's a position defender for the most part.
Yeah, he is, but at times can get exposed. So they're gonna have to figure out something with that. But honestly, at their roster, that's all they got. That's literally all they got. So it's like Baines or bust. Like
they're gonna probably play a lot of zone this year. You're gonna see a lot of zone from the Raptors this year. A lot.
So you thinking they're gonna adopt the Miami playbook?
So I mean, they was doing it last year for a while too.
We all know how much Ant loves zone.
So they're gonna deal with that zone as they can. I think defensively they didn't look terrible yesterday, because I mean, the chances that a team shoots 50% from the field against you and 45 from three for a whole game every night, probably not. New Orleans was just hot, and when the team has got it hot,
that third
you have to concede that. Yeah, when a team is everything they put up, it seemed like it winning. So when a team is shooting like that, you kind of just got to tip your hat and be like, okay, y'all got this. But it was still a close game even with that for at stretches. And granted, the final score was 113-99. But that final score wasn't indicative of the whole body of the game. It was a competitive game. It's just they were hot. So I think they'll figure that out. Now, I know there was one more game that y'all want to talk about. It slipped my mind. That's my apologies. I apologize for that. So what was the other game?
I think it was
Ant was on mute when he was just talking. I don't think he peeped.
The Kings Nuggets. It was the Kings Nuggets.
Kings Nuggets.
Yeah. I just want to talk about Buddy Hill's crazy game-winning tip and how Barnes tried to body somebody and boink. Like it just, I don't know what's going on with Barnes. It just don't be looking good for him sometimes. But that was a crazy game. It was just honestly a lucky game for them, a lucky win because Denver did what they needed to do. They played a great game. They played a Denver
Jokic had a triple-double.
Exactly.
Big time triple-double.
They played a Denver game. They got production from who they needed to. The Aaron Fox, he's making a big leap, man. He had a clutch block. He got beat on a backdoor play. He didn't give up, what a lot of guys do, even though they're getting paid millions. And he chased it down and glassed them. And then they went down, scored within a minute left, and then it became a seesaw game after that. So me, I'm always, noticing the little things. I'm a little things type of guy. So when I see things like that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good step on him to be like, you know what, I got beat backdoor, but the game's not over yet. We got a minute and a half left, and look what happens. They pull out that win because a few little things go their way, and they pull away. I just wanted to that might have been up there one of the games of the night, just because it was a back and forth.
Yeah, it was. It was a very good game.
Yeah.
Very good game. The Kings looked good in that game. Millsap for the For Denver, Millsap kind of looked like the old Millsap a little bit. He looked like
Yep.
Utah Jazz, Atlanta Hawk Millsap, which is good for
Yeah,
them.
sure.
Very good for them.
I just like, going back to the Kings real quick. I just love the fact that they started Buddy, because last year and the year before, Buddy
up and
was
down.
coming off the bench, and now that they're giving him this chance to like showcase what he really is, which is a great scorer. I like that for him, and I also like Tyrese Halliburton. 12 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds.
Man, he would look good in a Knicks uniform.
Yeah, I would have had your point guard right there.
He would look. I know y'all like Obi, but he would look so good in a Knicks uniform. And also, not to cut Sut off, shout out to the 6th guy they got on there, Corey Joseph. I get a ring and I bring it home like I'm Corey Joe. That's what he looking like right now.
Yeah.
That's a pickup that I forgot that they had made, but that finally gave them a legitimate backup point guard.
Yep. That's a vet that knows how to run a system, knows how to, run the tempo, switch the tempo up, slow the game down. Former Spur. So you know he has an IQ, because you can't play for the Spurs if you don't have no damn IQ. Pop don't play that.
If you look at the box score overall, everyone did solid work.
The only person that didn't play that well for Denver was Murray, rather. Jamal Murray didn't play that well.
Right. And then Porter, 24 points. Now finally in the starting lineup.
Should have done that last year.
Take off.
He was ready to start last year, but I understand that they was rocking with Granny.
Yeah.
So they did that.
And then Will Barton back, 16 points.
6-man role. He's going to be at the 6-man role, which is more his speed. Works for him. Fucking Grant is over there in Detroit wishing I should have just gone back to the Nuggets. It's the same money. He didn't get more money leaving, so he should have just went right back.
He was, let's just call it what it was. He was high. He got to fire his agent. The hell was you doing leaving to by far the worst team in the East, and you were on a contending team in the West, getting good minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, could have been a starter this year if he stayed.
He would have. He probably would have.
Now he texting the homies late night.
He would have had that starting four spot.
Guys, I see you guys doing good. He over there like that her friend that moved out of that high school too quick because he thought he was that star.
He sometimes you gotta. I don't know what he was thinking, but that's why I brought it up.
Fire your agent.
I thought it was interesting because
your dumb ass is stupid for that.
He should have stayed.
We all said it. It didn't make no sense when we talked about it. Might have been the second episode of the podcast. It didn't make no sense to any of us.
No.
What is he doing?
I didn't understand that. But he made that decision. You gotta live with it. But the Nuggets look good to almost win a game when Jamal Murray didn't play well. Shows they have that depth and that Jokic.
Exactly.
Jokic just makes it look easy, man.
Because let's just call it what it is. He's the point guard. He's the point forward.
Yeah, he's the point center. The point center.
Yeah.
Big man running center, changing the game. Speaking of centers, though, I have to do justice. I know we didn't mention this game because it wasn't a close game because the Utah Jazz won by 20. But shout out to Rudy Gobert out there getting 20 and 17. Rudy Gobert ain't been looking like 20 points out of Rudy Gobert.
I'm a piggyback off that.
When does he do that?
Shout out to Donovan Mitchell for shouting him out in his post game, and then basically clearing the air to everybody who wondered. I'm one of the people that wondered how has their relationship been since the whole COVID thing that shut down the NBA anyway.
Yeah.
And it seems like they mended it because he's like, hey man, shout out my big man because we don't call a goddamn play for him. But he finished 20 and 17. He just there doing what he got to do.
20
no complaint.
17. That man.
Like shout out to him.
I mean, you already know he's trying to secure that bag.
He already got it. He's living his best life. He's like, I'm gonna show y'all what I can really do. But that makes that team scary though. If that wasn't like a rainbow thing there, he can consistently be a 15 and 10 guy for them.
Yeah.
That's a nice addition to a team that has Mike Conley back and playing well and feeling more comfortable. Obviously, they got Donovan Mitchell. They got Bogdanovich back.
They got Clarkson back too.
Clarkson, and then they got Ingles as well. So that team is coming together nicely. Dame didn't play well. That was sad to see Dame time not show up yet. So we gotta wait for
Yeah,
our Dame time
1 for 7, 4 for 12,
Yeah,
9 points.
so
Yeah.
I mean,
whoever they play next, he gonna cook them. I feel bad for their next
Yeah,
opponent.
yeah, for sure. I low key wish they played on Christmas because that would be
I feel
really good.
bad for the next opponent because he's cooking.
I
well,
low key I think they play Saturday
it,
on NBA TV.
yeah. So the
Yeah, Saturday.
Trailblazers they host Houston on Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. They do.
But we're not gonna sit there and act like, oh, of that. I don't think John Wall's gonna be able to play. But if he is able to play,
Nah,
that John Wall's not about to go at any guard he sees.
it'll be a
John
good
Wall been
matchup.
taking notes for a good 2 years now on who been
Hmm.
walking around, showboating like.
He got
But
a chip on his shoulder.
Trailblazer fans, I'm gonna call y'all out because y'all know I be on Twitter and I'm always looking at what's trending. And my guy Melo was trending. Should I say B's got Melo?
15, 5 for 12.
Yeah, but they were mad because his role coming off the bench is to be that guy, and they're mad every time he touches the ball he shoot. What do you expect him to do?
He
He's still a
getting
bucket.
Exactly.
He's
Y'all was
efficiently
praising him in
doing
the
it. Like
yeah,
that's
y'all
the
was
thing. He's
praising him in the bubble.
efficiently doing it.
Y'all was praising him in the bubble.
Yeah, I just don't get it. It's like, what else is Melo supposed to do? And then
Exactly.
and then the Blazers brought in Covington to shoot 1 point to get 1 point.
He's a
Legit.
defender. He's not a bucket. He's a
No,
defender.
21 minutes.
But
Took 3
still,
shots, got 1 point.
He's a defender. He's not out there to score. He just locking up out there. He
Yeah,
didn't do much of
yeah,
that.
but the only reason why I'm calling out Trailblazer fans is because you don't do that.
Hey, you can't get on. You
Y'all
can't
brought
disrespect
Melo
Melo.
back to life. Y'all
Yeah,
helped
Hoodie.
revive
Yeah,
Melo,
they was
and
loving Hoodie
then
Melo.
your star player, Logo Dame, couldn't hit from the logo for once, and y'all gonna act like that's cool? Like,
Because he's been there the longest, so they just gonna excuse that. Like, it happens.
nah, I would have been more happy to see Melo trending as I'm saying, damn, coach should have played him more to finish the game, or coach
Yeah,
might have to start him because
Collins
Robert
didn't do nothing either.
Covington, he ain't. Melo's gonna at
Covington,
least
Collins not doing nothing either, right? In the first game, at least.
yeah.
1 point.
That's
Put
still
that
One.
and Melo got that hostile badge too. Melo will give you a quick 12 in the first
he can
quarter.
score.
That changes things. That changes things.
score.
Covington, I think, is a better 6-man coming off the bench role player anyway at this point because he hasn't been the same since he left Philly, which again, he looked great in Philly. System and the coach helped him get paid. That's what you see. That's what we see a lot that's going on is people look good in the system. They leave, well, because, general manager or whatever, their contract, whatever the situation is, and they go somewhere else. And it's like, okay, but you're not that player you was before. And now he's on another team, and it's like, okay, one point in 21 minutes. I think I might be able to do better than that. Matter of fact, I know I
Anybody can do better than that. Anybody.
on 3 shot attempts? Yeah, I could do better than that.
If we want to also give credit to Cantor. 7 for 7, 14 points, 8 rebounds.
Cantor, he should have never left Portland.
Yeah.
He loved to get there.
Yeah.
I know he tried to come to New York and he was trying to be a part of that, get New York back to the playoffs thing. He tried to hold it down. I understand it, but
Boston rocked with him.
it didn't work for him. It ruined his career a little bit. He took a step back, got my man out there sitting on the bench begging for the crowd to sub him in from him to shoot an air ball. It was a bad look.
I don't know. I think he took a small step back in Boston.
Boston, I mean, he was – you're on mute, big fella.
I don't think he took a step back in Boston. My fault. I be trying to dust off the freaking the keypad and I be in the mouse sometimes. But anyways, I don't think he took a step back in Boston, so I think you tripping because I think he did the same thing for Boston.
How many?
Just get rebound.
Exactly, you're tripping.
I'm not tripping.
I think you tripping, boy. You tripping.
I don't know. I feel like anyone who plays for the Celtics takes like 3 steps back. Like
it was but now that you mentioned Cantor, right? You mentioned Cantor.
He just talked about how he took a step back with New York, so you ain't gonna say it was Boston.
Nah, he took a step forward.
It's funny, right? It's funny because we were talking about steps forwards, backwards. And earlier, he mentioned Steph Curry. Steph Curry was hooping on Wednesday. Steph Curry for the 76ers had a performance. He looked like Stephen Curry out there the way he was shooting for the 76ers.
He found his game. I feel like when he first came into the NBA, maybe he was trying to live up to the Curry hype. just the Curry last name in general. Let me just shoot, which he can do, but he had to find his game. And I think, he actually found his game, which I'm going to credit Dallas for. He found out the type of player he was. Like, Steph. That's that. And Steph's a good player, and he found his game. He found out what things he does that makes him who he is, and that's good. So I think no matter where he's at now, if he stays with Philly, wherever he goes, he's gonna be that guy. Like, we expect him to do what he does because he found his game. He found it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Seth. Like, I think you guys just mentioned he finally found his game, and wasn't there something with like where he ranks like second or third all time in the 3-point percentage list?
Yeah. Him and Curry shoot the same
key, and people don't even
him and his
know.
brother shoot the same.
Yeah, they don't give him that credit.
Exactly. They don't even.
He don't get the credit as a 3-point.
They don't, because the brother got the rings and the brother do it in more highlights.
The brother got all the hype.
That happens sometimes when you're on a better team. Russell played well, but he had a Russell effect. He had triple double, but it didn't equal a win.
Him and Bradley Beal took the same amount of shots, but who's the better shooter?
Well, we know. I said Russell was going to put on his shots. Like, that's what he does. He's going to go get a rebound, push up court, and shoot it. That's what he does. So that's always the.
I told y'all that too. He's back with Brooks.
That's what he's going to do.
And what did he do? He dropped Ben Simmons and pulled the mid. He's going to be mid-range Westbrook. Now, if I didn't watch the game. Now, if y'all tell me based off the highlights or whatever that he out of them 22 shots, a good 10 of those was mid-range, I'm happy. I don't care then.
He was shooting.
If he goes back to mid-range Westbrook, then I'm fine with it.
Let me check the stats real quick before I say that comment. I don't think he shot a lot of threes. I don't think he was out there.
It was only 2 threes. It was only 2 threes.
So everything was layups and middies. Mid-range jump shots. I won't say mid.
That's the Westbrook that got him to that superstar status.
He just was bricking.
He never left that Westbrook. That's okay.
He went to Houston. Houston don't shoot mid-range. They shoot threes. So he had to add the 3 to the game. You got to remember that. That's why Melo didn't work in Houston, because he's a mid-range shooter.
So, speaking of like who had great performances, you said Westbrook, right? So I'm gonna go one.
Oh God, I feel this is troll.
No, it's not. It's actually not. It's actually not. It's actually not. I'm gonna go with Trae Young.
Okay.
Yeah, he had 37 points.
Yeah. Okay.
7 and 6. He killed it. 10 for 12 shooting. He balled out. I mean,
I like their starting lineup.
That team's gonna be scary.
Yeah,
I like it. The whole starting lineup scored double digits. 13 for Gallinari, 14 for Collins, 11 for Hunter.
And the crazy part is Capella is not healthy.
Yeah,
it's not like he's not healthy yet.
I completely forgot about Capella.
Gallinari is gonna be that guy off the bench when Capella is healthy. So that's gonna make that bench stronger. Yeah.
Hey, don't sleep on Bogdanovic off the bench with 15.
Yeah, that bench is gonna be scary. That's why I said when they get Capella back and they got Rondo, Gallinari, Bogdanovic off that bench, that's gonna be a 3-headed monster right there.
Yeah, Rondo didn't play actually yesterday. I don't know why, but he didn't play. But that's gonna be.
But
you're right. Rondo's gonna win that second unit.
Since we're giving out shout outs to these players and whatnot, shout out to the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, they got a dub. DeMar DeRozan looked like an all-star, superstar. My fault. Excuse me. He looked like a superstar.
Did he catch a body?
In game 1.
Might have been.
He was.
No, that was Lonnie Walker that caught the body.
Yeah, that was Lonnie Walker.
Caught the body, but DeRozan.
That was one of those games where it was like the Spurs are starting to mesh. They're starting to mesh as a team with those young pieces, and they're playing some Spurs basketball. Got the ball moving, playing defense, and engaged. It looked like a team that they might creep up into that playoff race low key if they can get consistent performances. And right now the Grizzlies look lost. It's one game, but they looking a little lost out there. I don't know what's going on with the Grizzlies.
It's Morant or
the rest of them are just there. and we're not gonna. I mean, I don't want to. He had 9 assists, so it's not like he's not trying to pass. I think he just has that switch where it's like, okay, y'all know, I gotta go. Like I gotta.
Right.
We need a bucket. I gotta go get it. Which is a good mindset.
It's a similar situation with like Luka in Dallas with Morant and Memphis.
Especially when he don't got Jackson.
It's like if they don't perform, that's it. Like their team looks absolutely lost.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with Morant having 44 points, he's not going to give you 44 points a night.
No, because if he's shooting that many 27 shots a night, he's not passing to those other guys that can't create their own shots. So Jaren Jackson not being there made it worse. But that, again, game one, but it looked like a team that I'm like, outside of those two, this is what y'all banked on? Because I read an article, I forgot where, and they were talking about the core was Morant, Grayson Allen, and Jaren Jackson. I'm like, wait a minute, what? The fact that you just mentioned Grayson Allen in a core of a team, I've got a question, like, timeout. That's not a good thing. If you telling me he's your third best player on your roster right now, that's not good.
I probably would have put, Dylan Brooks maybe?
And he's inconsistent too. That's
yeah,
the
it's
scary
like,
part.
I don't,
Dylan Brooks has 16 off 50%. So Dylan Brooks did his part. Did his part. I think it was Anderson that kind of.
Kyle Anderson, the former Spur out there, slow mo. Shout out to Jersey.
Listen, I don't know, but going back to my Spurs, I love that. I love their performance. Since they picked them, I do like Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, that boy can shoot.
Yeah, he's going to be a focus, point, for that team. Lonnie Walker, I'm just glad that they're actually giving him, time. I know that White was injured, so he didn't play. So
Murray looked good too.
Yeah,
Jonathan Murray looked good too. He looked real good in that first game.
Yeah, and then you get the veterans off the bench. You had, Rudy Gay, 10 points. You had
Rudy Gay's always going to be a bucket. That's just shout out to UConn.
13, right?
Shout out to UConn. Rudy Gay is like one of the low key smoothest scorers in the league. He don't get that credit, but
by the way, one of the best jump shots in 2K.
He scores calm 10, 15 points, and it's easy. So to wrap up, we got a long Christmas day of games. We have like 5 games tomorrow. A lot of Christmas Day basketball. A lot of people gonna be opening gifts, drinking eggnog, all that stuff like that. Who y'all got winning tomorrow?
I don't know, man. It's a bubble like format for me, so it's like it's a toss up. You can't even guarantee anything. I didn't like. Tatum hit the game winner, but I didn't like the way Boston looked at spurts, so I still think Brooklyn pulls that out.
The Nets are gonna crack them.
So y'all got somebody else got the Nets. I got the Nets too, just because I just think the Nets got a lot of firepower.
All right, well,
too much firepower.
All right, so 12. All right, so 12 o'clock we have Pelicans
Heat. That's the first game of the day. If you want to go in time order,
I'm gonna go with the Heat.
You going with the Heat?
I got Pelicans.
I'm going with the Pelicans too. I'm just going to be different. I'm all in on Nola right now. That's one of my favorite teams in the West, low key.
2:30 games. 2:30 game. We got the Warriors.
I got the Bucks bouncing back.
Warriors, Bucks.
Got the Bucks bouncing back.
Yeah, Bucks.
I
didn't like the way the Warriors played.
Okay. I'm going to say this real quick. Last time we banked against the Warriors on Christmas Day, they beat the Rockets. So I am going to go with the Warriors because we did it last year. We thought the Rockets were going to smack them, and the Warriors won that game. So I'm going to go with the Warriors. I'm going to go with the upset.
Only reason I'm going to go with the Bucks is just because Giannis is, literally his Christmas is ruined because he missed a free throw. So he's going to be hella dominant tomorrow. Do I think Curry's going to shoot like ass again? No. It's going to be a close game, but I got Milwaukee.
Wiggins going to have 30.
You got Drew Holiday dealing with Curry.
Wiggins going to have 30.
5 o'clock game?
8 o'clock game.
All right.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock game.
5 o'clock.
No, we already said about that.
We did it. We did that. Net Celtics.
Yeah.
I want to hear Ant say it though. Who is he going with?
I already said it. Brooklyn's winning that game. I already said it.
He just being petty.
I said it
clear. Double down on it.
Bro, it's a win-win for me. I'm a KD fan. I don't really get. I
double down.
What happened, bro? It is what it is. I just hope it's not an ass whooping like it was in the preseason.
Right. 8 o'clock game, Mavericks versus Lakers.
Lakers got to bounce back.
Lakers got to bounce back.
Yeah,
they got to bounce back. They can't go until we start seeing.
And then 10:30 game, really good game. Clippers versus Nuggets.
No, I'm going with the Nuggets. I don't trust no Paul George getting 33 points again. Playing with me.
Paul George better show up.
I ain't picking Paul George to get there. He gonna be out hitting the side of the backboard again. He gonna be having flashbacks.
I'm actually going with the Nuggets due to Murray having a poor game last game. So I
He
feel
ain't
like
got
he's
no.
gonna. And yeah, this
There ain't
whole
nobody on the Clippers to guard him.
This
Ain't
whole
nobody
Paul
on the Clippers
George,
can guard that man.
Yeah, this whole Paul George thing, I don't buy it one bit until he starts doing it consistently. So,
In the words of DJ Meech, Patrick Beverly just out there running. He ain't no defender. He just out there running. But overall, I think those are good predictions, good safe pick. Not safe picks, but good wise picks. Because anything can happen on Christmas Day games. That's why we watch them, and they're good. So that's going to bring us to the end of our episode for this week. Everybody out there listening or watching, we hope you have a happy and safe holidays with you and your loved ones. And we'll be back with you after the holiday break.
Yeah, have a good holiday, guys.
Happy
You already know.
holidays.
All right, catch y'all.